Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I have the great pleasure of having the wonderful artist, muralist Hooman Khalili on the podcast with me today. And we are going to be discussing not only his own work, but the wonderful murals that he painted in Israel on the occasion of the Women Life Freedom movement. So thank you, Humanjan. Welcome. I'm desperately grateful for your acceptance to be on this podcast, and I love your work. Those murals are absolutely breathtaking, and I'd love for you to tell us how the concept came about, what the making of the piece of what it took to, basically put the pieces together and so on. So.
Well, thank you, Banish. I really appreciate it. I'm really honored to be on your podcast. And yeah, it's been quite the journey. I was, you know, I am part of the Persian community in the San Francisco Bay Area. And, just like most Persians, I'll go to a Nowruz party or, some other occasion where all the Persians gather if there's a concert. But I'm not like hugely involved by any means. And then, Masa Amini gets murdered in September of 2022, and all of a sudden, like Instagram and social media in general starts blowing up. People are messaging one another, and there was a call uh, from a group of people in LA who wanted to make murals. And, I was clear. I said, I don't make murals. And they said, well, can you get us a wall in San Francisco? And I said, sure. So I called the art commissioner. I hear back. Art commissioner wants to pick the wall. She wants to pick the artist. She wants to pick the design. I said, listen, I'm a movie maker. I don't make murals. Why don't you do everything and I'll do nothing? How about that? And they were like, great. And I was like, great. Well, then the mural went up, and it was done by a really, really talented female Iranian artist in the Bay Area. And I called her and I said, "Hey, can can we take a picture?" Because in the back of my mind, the truth is, I was like, "Well, I got to show that I'm doing something." And it wasn't like my mission at the moment. And we took the picture, put it up on Instagram, and lo and behold, by the grace of God, the mural goes viral. And one of the people that sees it is the vice mayor of Jerusalem. Her name is Fleur Hassan. And I was connected to Fleur Hassan through another journalist named Emily Schrader.
I know Emily.
So, yeah, and Emily's amazing. I mean, what a voice for the Iranian women.
Indeed.
So, next thing I know, Floor says, I want murals in Israel in support of the women of Iran. I want to show the world that we Jews are standing with those women. And I said, oh my God, how do we do this? And she said, well, in Israel, we don't do anything over the phone or on Zoom. I need you to sit in my office. I need to look in your eyes and I need to see if this is going to work. And I said, that's 15 hours each way. She said, well, lo and behold, 3 days later, I'm sitting in her office and I said, do you have a wall? She said, no. I said, do you have an artist I can collaborate with? She said, no. I said, am I paying for this? She said, yes. So the opportunity was too great. And me being raised in the church, me being a Persian Christian, I was like, God, is this you? Are you speaking, God? Are you really sending me to Israel? Now, where I live, and where you're from, the New York area, it's very, very liberal. And one of the hardships of the pandemic, I mean, there were so many, but one was people were so triggered by everything. You couldn't even have a conversation with anyone. And it was a very difficult time. And I had a birthday party during the pandemic, outdoors, outdoors. And it was, I invited 400 people.
Wow.
It, it wasn't an illegal party by any means, but everyone's like, "Hey, where do we send our vaccine cards?" And I'm like, "Listen, the barrier to entry is nothing. It's nothing. If you voted for Trump, you're invited. If you voted for Biden, you're invited. If you're vaccinated, you're invited. If you're unvaccinated, you're invited." Anyway, as a result of that statement, I lost 200 friends in 1 month. People were like, "We can't be your friend. You're too irresponsible. You don't understand the science." Oh my God, if I would have heard that phrase one more time, if I had a nickel for every time somebody said you don't understand the science, I'd literally be a millionaire. Literally. So then I was like, it was a weird time in my life, from a Christian perspective, we have this way that we speak where we say God is pruning. He's pruning. And that analogy says, you prune so that new branches will grow and the fruit will be sweeter. Well, it's the same for human beings. So anyway, now I find myself in Israel with way less friends than I have ever had. Everyone's alienated me, and it's almost like that alienation needed to happen so I could get to Israel. And then next thing I know, 26 days later, by the grace of God, the first Woman Life Freedom mural goes up in the Middle East, January 9th, 2023. And on that day, and that day only, it seemed, because the press from the entire world came to Jerusalem, it seemed like everyone loved Israel for one day and one day only. And it was a big deal because it sort of sent ripple effects throughout the whole Middle East because the Arab women saw a mural in Jerusalem. You could, where the first mural goes is everything. And Jerusalem is not only, the eternal city, it's not only the city of gold, it's the city that everyone claims. The Jews say it belongs to us. The Christians say no, it belongs to us. The Muslims say no, it's us. You know, and we being Persian, the Baha'is, their holy
Yeah, I was going to say the
site
Baha'is
is
aren't too far away.
yeah, they're up north. Like in the Druze, they're claiming it too. So
The
here we
only
are.
ones that aren't there are the Buddhists and the Zoroastrians. So there you have it.
Right, yeah. But if there was room for the Zoroastrians, I'm sure they would show
Uh-huh.
up. But it's funny, I have seen quite a few Buddhists in Tel Aviv. I have.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because a lot of the Jews that sort of walked away from their Judaism have become Buddhists.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, anyway, the point is, when that mural went up, it sent ripple effects because the Arab women saw it and they said, "Oh my goodness, there is a mural with women's hair showing." And us being Middle Eastern, us being Persian, like we understand what it means for a woman to be able to show her hair. Americans are like, we don't get it. Like, why is it a big deal?
Yeah.
So, real quickly for the Americans listening, in the Quran, it says a woman must cover her chest, but it doesn't say she has to cover her
Right.
hair.
Yeah.
And, the Shiites, which are in Iran for the most part, have extended that interpretation to mean not only the chest, but the hair. And as we both know, if a woman shows her hair, it's war against God. And if
Exactly.
it's war against God, you can do anything to them.
Well, it's a
So,
tool for control. So, simple as that.
100%, it is a tool for control. So on that day, I was like, I went back to church. I prayed, said, "God, is this it? Do you just want one? Am I one and done?" And then Emily Schrader called and said, "Hey, my boyfriend's out of town. I got invited to a wedding. You want to be my plus one? It's going to be a pretty fancy wedding." And I said, I just got back to California. You want me to jump on a plane and come right back?" She goes, "Yeah, that's what I want you to do." So I show up and I called the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I had a buddy over there, Ron Natenzan. I'll give him a shout out. And I said, "Ron, you have an artist I can work with? I'm here, and let's see if a miracle happens where I can miraculously find a wall." And he said, yeah, there's a guy named Benzie Brofman. And I called Benzie and I said, where
I
should the
know.
next,
Yeah, I know
oh, you
him.
know Benzie?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've
He's
known him for
amazing.
like 15, 20 years actually when he started in New York. Funny enough.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's amazing. So I called him and I said, where should the next mural be? I go, you can pick anywhere. And he picked Nazareth.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I prayed and I had a Messianic Jew with me. So a Messianic Jew is a Jew who believes Jesus is the Messiah. So in Israel, there's 7 million Jews. And of the 7 million, I'd say about